Today is Tuesday, December 12th, and you're listening to the Beer Temple Podcast.
Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again.
Hello, and welcome to the Beer Temple Podcast.
Thanks for the perfect fade, Serge.
Oh,
you nailed it again.
Guess what? Serge isn't here.
Whoa.
What?
That's right. No more Serge, maybe ever. Or maybe he'll be back next week.
As he told
you
us
have to come and find out.
Yeah, no one knows.
Tune in.
It's a cliffhanger.
It's true.
Get
Maybe
those-
he won't
get
ever
that
show up
viewership
again.
up.
Certainly isn't needed now that a fade like that was executed.
Well, you know who
Flawless.
is here?
Yeah, who is here?
Myself.
You.
Mike Schlau.
Yes, we should probably. Why don't we introduce the show?
From His Was Brewing, and Chris Quinn, my co-host, your co-host, our co-host.
The co-host.
And Fade Master, honorary Fade Master for the day.
Yep.
Crushed the first one. Actually recorded the intro.
Yep. We don't have to. Yep. It appears that we are recording.
Pretty good, Chris.
I learned from my mistakes.
Is that true? we do our best.
It's something people say,
yeah, people say that.
so I'll repeat
About
that.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
How you been? What's new?
I repeat my mistakes. I'm good. Super busy. And
coach?
yeah. Well, yeah, I'm coaching, but I'm also busy with I made a to-do list and it was pages long, so I had to mark it out for a whole week and see how much time I had each day.
Pages long?
Yeah, and it's all not
How minute?
tighten this, fix the door. Those things I love. This is more like one step forward on a huge project.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
Or you
I'm
feel
the
no
worst at the-
satisfaction, but it's the most important thing you could possibly do.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just have okay, just it reminds me the terror is in my face once again. I was like, oh, okay, that's what I have to do. So that was me, but I'm excited about this show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad everyone
Great
out
show.
there is listening. Sad that Serge couldn't make it. He was busy fading. I guess he had a prior engagement in fade.
Enfadement.
Enfadement.
Yeah.
Prior enfadement. But yeah, I also, it looks like we are, after our discussion last week, going to be doing some sort of event that will be BYOBAV Whiz. So that's good.
For Stockling?
Yeah, for Stockling.
Yeah.
And
Here
also,
we come, a Stockling.
look what we got, and look at this. Look at this letter. So let's introduce
I think
the guests.
that came over on the Mayflower.
Yeah, let's get right to it. We're going to introduce the guests in order of seniority, and I think you have lifetime seniority, Mr. Edmar. So why don't you just take a photo first? Also, classic. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me back on the show, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I
Thanks
really
for coming
appreciate
back
it.
on.
And seeing that letter
Yeah.
basically validates 8, 7, 6, 5, 8, how many years of this show?
Too many.
You know, the show requests handwritten letters to be mailed to a different address now.
You know what?
When you mail them in the
we
past,
started
you never get them.
We're getting more of them now.
Yeah.
That it's to
Yeah.
me and not to you
Yeah.
Or Jamie.
or Jamie. Yeah.
And that is the most incredible letter I've seen in a long
I
time.
think this is maybe the most incredible letter
the parchment,
we've ever gotten.
burnt parchment. It's fantastic.
Yes. You know what?
Did that come in a bottle? Did it wash up on the Lake Michigan shores? And
No, U.S. Post Office.
Nice.
Well, it wasn't you. It was some sort of mail carrier. He had a satchel and a tri-corner hat. and he I was told to put this in your hands.
On a pony.
Yeah. And the only thing that could have been better is if it had little musical notes written on the top of the back side of it, a la Goonies. I mean, for those of you who can't see, and we'll get to it. We'll get to the letter.
We should post it on the Instagram feed that we will have at some point, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we will. For now, it might be on.
But yeah, it's a great letter, guys. It was the best introduction for a letter I've heard ever in a podcast.
Oh, thanks. I know you've heard a lot of those, so it means a lot. Edmar, how are you? You're drinking holy water.
I'm enjoying Chef's Pizza.
Yeah.
I'm drinking some sparkling holy water. Mm-hmm. I'm excited to be here. I mean, I try to stop by once in a while.
Yeah. Every once in a while.
And
yeah, for sure.
I miss you sometimes, and I see you. And tonight's a perfect night for a podcast. Mm-hmm. It is a great moment in time to just talk about so much that's happening in the world of craft beer and beyond.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait,
That's
Ed.
right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, well, thanks for coming on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We still got to get down to Studio B.
Yeah.
Again. You know,
What show
Homecoming.
What show we're coming up on a milestone soon, right?
Episode like 330.
You got to do it. you got to do a thing and let have an audience again.
Yeah.
Do that again, and it'll be fun.
Cool.
Whatever
Yes.
you want.
Yes. So,
A reggaeton concert while we're recording it.
yeah, make sure there's something
Yeah,
very
a
loud.
very loud metal band
Yeah,
That would
next
be
door.
ideal.
in the corner.
Yeah.
With the amps faced towards the
Towards
studio.
us and away from their audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I want someone cutting their hand and writing
Defecating on a
in
flag.
writing in making art, live art
Yeah.
with their own blood and making me want to pass out when I come outside.
Did that
would
happen
be
last
nice.
time?
It happened once. Yeah, there was a guy, he had a bowl in his hand, and it was blood, his own blood.
Yes.
And he was like smearing
Wait,
it
Yeah.
on.
from a wound he inflicted that night, or did he
was the
draw his own
performance.
blood and then buy it back?
No, that was the performance.
I think he cut
That's-
himself and then made art with his blood.
Yeah.
And it was in a bowl. And it was sickening. Like, to me, it was sickening. I was like, I had to leave, and then coming back.
You know,
it
if you're
was
not
gross.
living on the edge, you're taking up too much space, Chris. So get out of the way. You know.
I will gladly get out of the way. I'm out. I am out of the way. I am pulled over. I am all the way on the shoulder. You guys
I
can
am
all-
out of the car.
You can go back.
I'm
Yeah.
walking home.
Yeah, exactly. I'm walking home. But we have another guest here
Yes.
for our mini round table. So it's
Well, who is the guest, Chris?
well, I was just getting to that.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking in my head. People always think I forget their names, and it's not true at all because I pause. But I was trying.
Dramatic pause.
For me either. If I ever do that, it's not because I'm forgetting how to pronounce someone's name.
No, it's because Kate Bernat is here,
That's
and
correct.
I always mispronounce her last name.
I do too.
So I was going to I was trying to remember which way to say it, and I needed like a moment. But that's less important.
So you kind of did forget how to say her name.
I guess I did forget her name. So I guess I lied. How are you, Kate?
Sorry.
I'm so good. I don't even correct people when they mispronounce my name because Bruno sounds fancy, so it's an upgrade.
It is very
So I
fancy.
just let it ride.
Bernat's nice as well.
Yeah,
Thanks
Bernat.
for coming
That's
back.
great.
How are you?
Oh,
How's
thank you.
Montana?
Montana is cold and gray. I don't think I've seen the sun, honestly, in like 10 days.
Oh,
We're
man.
really in it. Yeah, it's
A big
these
sky.
are the depths of winter when the days are short and cloudy and it's kind of rough, but it's still beautiful here and I'm good. It's always such a pleasure to kind of be able to scratch the itch of being back in Chicago, sort of like holographically.
Nice. Yeah.
And I'm so intrigued about this handwritten letter.
Oh yeah.
The only thing I have to contribute to the discourse about the message in a bottle is that it looks like when I would make treasure maps as a kid and try to make them look old timey.
I mean, yeah.
yeah, with like X marks the spot kind of. That's the vibe of this letter.
Yeah, I mean
It's
the
incredible.
first words are "hark" and "attend." So
That's called a teaser
okay.
for you.
yeah,
It's Pony Express, Paul Revere, Message in a Bottle, Goonies, Treasure
Yes.
Map. Wow.
Yes.
Yep.
yeah. So it's the real deal. I've been seeing, I mean, your stuff, Kate. I feel all over the place. Like whenever there's an interesting beer article or thing, your name seems to be associated with it. At least in the past, I don't know, 6 to 12 months.
Years.
So
Months.
yeah. Yeah.
You know, I'm just going to say right now that Kate is one of the few journalists who write about the industry that I pay attention to at
Yeah,
all.
I agree.
It's
Thank
Kate.
you.
It's Kate. It's Doug.
Yep.
And then maybe Brewbound has some interesting news tidbit. Other than that, it's pretty bleak out there.
Right.
You know, there's not much worth reading that's just not advertorial or kind of like a fluff piece.
Like this show.
When
Yeah, well, this show.
Fluff piece.
Yeah, I don't even who even listens to this show anymore.
True. It's
Beer
true.
Temple.
I know. We have
But you know what I mean? It's
our quality of guests have really dropped off.
just saying it's part of the problem. I mean, that's why I'm back on the show. You have to reach down into the dregs.
That's
You
right.
know? I know that.
Get the best beer
Yeah.
writer and
Yeah, and then this moron.
yeah, and then a moron to balance
Perfect
it out.
show.
Yeah.
No one else I'd rather be here with.
Yes.
Okay.
Aw, what a love fest to start out. I will
But
say,
it's the truth. What I say
what you said about you?
about Kate.
Okay.
About Kate.
Well, thank you. I think it's a really weird time to be covering beer, but like also a very interesting time to be covering beer because when things are changing and in flux, then I don't know, as a
Yeah.
reporter, that's a cool time.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
when all the acquisitions had already happened and everyone was only drinking hazy, my guess is that was not the best time to be a reporter, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, then the pandemic happened to really spice
Oh,
things
that's
up,
true.
so,
Right. Okay. There's always something, I suppose.
yeah.
Another thing that I admire about Kate is her palate, especially for IPAs. I think she's a
She's
fan
nodding
of.
vigorously,
she's-
saying,
she's-
yes, this is exactly what I came on for.
Yeah, she's a fan of
This is what everyone says about me. Yeah.
certain Cleveland. Well, not really Cleveland, but maybe like suburban Cleveland,
Akron,
Middleburg
yeah,
Heights,
Middleburg
Ohio. Fatheads,
Yeah.
Headhunter IPA, kind
Oh,
of.
yes, that did end up on the Craft Beer and Brewing 20 Best Beers of 2023. We tasted it blind in the offices. Myself, Jamie Bogner, Joe Stange, Stan Hieronymus, and it slayed. We were all like, what is this beer? Let's put it in the top 20. And it's
And
always...
you can get it at every grocery store in northern Ohio.
Yeah,
what a
it's
time
great.
to be alive
I know.
and living in northern Ohio.
I know. I'm so excited. We're getting a drop of it in Chicago that I helped orchestrate.
Helped?
Well, that I
Primarily.
Primarily
battered
battered
them into for
over the-
3 years.
yeah. And
Lovingly. Love
yeah.
batters.
And it was little things like that I would just keep pushing in people's faces to help get it here. So
It is.
That's
Go ahead.
called manifesting.
Yeah.
yeah,
You manifested the heck out of that.
We're gonna have to do a whole episode about how is it? What's the the pop culture context of this, right? Like it might be the GOAT, and no one talks about it as the GOAT. But it's like Lupe Fiasco might be the GOAT of one of the top 5. Like what is the Fatheads version of that? Because it has an argument,
yeah.
and no one talks about it that way.
I made it.
It's no King Julius, that's
No.
for sure.
It's not. But I made an argument. I did a little. We'll get into that another time. But I
Okay.
did make an Instagram.
Oh, I watched it.
Yeah, and I said one can make an argument that this beer, this IPA, is the greatest, the GOAT of IPAs.
You know, I just kind of glazed over. What beer are you talking about?
Jungle Boogie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's an IPA now?
Yeah.
Which one?
Fatheads.
Fatheads Headhunter
Headhunter.
IPA.
Oh, the Headhunter.
Yeah.
It's always been a great beer.
Yes.
Yeah. You think it's the goat, though, huh?
It
Is
has
that
an
what-
I think
is
it's
that what you
argument.
guys-
You have an argument.
It
Yeah.
puts it gets rings.
Yeah.
It tastes great all the time.
You know, I have to say that your Dust brother isn't around, but I have a feeling that if he was here in the room right now, he'd be
I don't
he'd be
know.
I
punching
don't
you
know.
in the shoulder.
We've been selling dust coin. We've been buying fat coin.
People are,
Yeah, he's
you've
kinda-
been buying dust coin.
I mean, we can't. When you're
There's-
someone who can move markets, there's a lot of things that you can and can't say.
But what did you put?
on a
What did you
public
put
forum.
that beer in your goat category?
Which one?
Headhunter or
No, the
zombie
zombie
dust.
dust.
Zombo.
Zombo. I mean, as a Dust brother,
I can't.
You're putting him on the
I got
spot
a lot
here.
Of financial.
The SEC is
tied
going
up
to
in
come
this.
down. Yeah.
Maybe.
Just checking.
I can
It's not
say
a-
this is not financial.
It's not an
advice.
IPA.
It's not an IPA.
Oh,
It's
there
an
you
undead
go.
pale ale.
It's
There
an
we go.
undead pale ale.
okay,
Loopholes.
fine. Yeah, so it is.
Yeah.
It's the best.
There you go.
Pale ale.
All right, let's get going, Ed, because you got to leave a little early. Has anyone had a beer recently
Yes.
that has been amazing? What?
The beer that you sold me the last time I was here was one of the best pale ales.
Oh, Jungle Boogie.
No, it was,
What was it?
no, it really was. I think it was.
Oh, that Trillium.
The Trillium.
Yeah.
What was that? I don't even remember the name of it.
I think I gave you one of the Fort Points or something.
Yeah, it was truly one of the best damn pale ales in the category.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
And that's funny because we're going to be talking about Trillium later, I hope.
Treehouse.
Same shit.
Yep.
Yeah. We're talking about Treehouse later? The tea,
Yeah.
the tea brewery.
Yeah.
Anyways,
New England
that
tea crowd.
Yeah, that beer was amazing.
Yeah, the one from Massachusetts.
The best
makes
beer I've
hazy
had. The
beer.
best whatever haze I've had all year.
Yeah, we did a blind of hazies. Not comprehensive, but
No, of
that one
the big
for me.
boys. Yeah, I know. I remember that too. Thanks for sharing that with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I know that you don't really let industry people purchase the products here.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
I know.
Kate, have you had anything? It's okay if nothing comes to mind.
Oh, I wanted to have a fun Midwest beer to talk about. So I opened up over the weekend the New Glarus 30th anniversary quad, and it is
Oh,
very lovely. More anniversary quads. That's a fun. It's a fun.
Yeah,
style
that's
for
It's a very
party.
2011
Crazy.
thing
I
to
was
do.
just gonna say, leave it to
It's
them.
30 years old. The brewery's 30 years old.
yeah,
so
it's,
like, we're
it's a
gonna
new
party
Glarus
like-
thing to do for sure.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
That
it's
rocks.
perfect.
I remember
What should we
quad
make? How about a quad?
Yeah.
You know what the kids these days are really into?
Right.
Quad.
Quads.
No,
Yeah.
stop. Quadruple. No, I'm going to stop you right there. Just
Yeah.
quads, not quadruple IPAs.
Right,
I don't-
right. Belgian quad.
Dan said, I heard quads, so
Yeah, exactly.
But when you have monopoly mind share of a local market like that,
of the heaviest
you
drinking
can
state
make
in the
anything
country.
you want. You could just make whatever, and it's going to sell out.
Like, oh, nice.
Especially for the 30-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go there and just light the barn on fire.
I think they look at the.
Right? Let's go.
I think he looks at
I'm down. Let's drive
GABF
up there right now.
categories and he ranks them from most entered to least, and then he starts from the bottom and just works his way up.
Right.
It's like what?
hope so.
No quads. Screw this.
30th
I'm making the greatest quad there is. Yeah.
anniversary. Danish red ale.
Yeah. Exactly.
Ooh,
Got to.
31st anniversary.
another
Clean,
favorite.
clean lines.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to get one, Kate. Thanks for recommending that.
I was in
Oh, you're so welcome.
I was in Connecticut for Thanksgiving. I hadn't been to Connecticut in probably 2 or 3 years to see my family. And I had a beer from Shanker Beer Company called Emerald Gardens. My buddy Joey Pepper
Oh,
started his own brewery,
got it.
Oh, poor guy.
brewing at 12%, and putting out some hazies, some lagers, and some kettle sour stuff. And Emerald Gardens was a kind of hazy pale ale
That's
IPA
cool.
that I had that was really wonderful. It was nice and relatively dry compared to the ones we get here a lot.
Where in Connecticut?
So he's been out I think the 12% beer project, and I think it's in Shelton.
In Shelton. Okay.
Yeah, I think
oh,
so.
great.
Yeah.
I'll tell Frymuth to go pick some up.
Yeah,
he lives
absolutely.
there, around there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
He
he
just
lives in
released an
Connecticut?
Italian
Yeah.
Pills.
He just moved there, yeah.
Does he know my parents?
Probably.
That's like where they live.
And isn't there like an athletic brewing place around
Yeah,
there?
similar. I
Yeah.
think that's also in Shelton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He lives right by there.
Yeah. Nice.
I'll tell him.
My parents live like 15 minutes from
Schenker
there.
Brewing?
Schenker, Schenker, beer company.
So Joey Pepper was a legendary like Brooklyn bartender, wasn't he?
Yeah, so he like was part of the opening team of Torst.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And then he was brewing at Folksbier for a while, which was like one of
Nice.
their beers were some of my favorite beers I've ever had.
Yeah.
And then they closed down.
So are all
So he started his own
like
spot.
the
and he does bartend still.
He's a
in
true head.
Brooklyn at
He's
Gold
a
Star.
head. He's like a
He's
second wave head.
Oh yeah, OG.
Nice.
Yeah, second wave. OG second wave head.
yeah.
But yeah, and his beers are fantastic. He knows what he's doing and makes fantastic beers.
So are all the cool Brooklyn kids are all moving to Connecticut now?
Well, he
It
doesn't live
sounds
in
like?
Connecticut. That's just where he's brewing stuff.
Oh,
He still lives
okay.
he's still a cool kid who lives in Brooklyn.
You saw that like people like Frymouth are moving.
Well, I
to
believe you
Connecticut.
could just walk 20 minutes and you're in Connecticut.
Yeah, it's not far.
Oh,
it's
it's
pretty
that
close.
close?
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
pretty
okay.
close.
Yeah. It's like going to the suburbs.
Okay.
It is exactly like
Yeah,
going
it's
to
like
the
going.
suburbs.
It's like going to Naperville.
Oh,
It's shorter than going to
Yeah.
Naperville, probably.
Yeah,
and just as cool.
it's probably cooler because it's got
actually-
that kind of
it's way-
colonial,
it's way cooler than
colonial
Naperville, dude.
architecture, the pastoral
Yeah.
scenes around it, and
Do you know
the
about
woods.
the Glass House in New Canaan? It's like one of the first, like the first,
That's
like Mies
right.
Van Roo
It's
style.
right there.
I went on a tour of that with my dad while I was home. It was pretty
God,
cool.
that's
It also
sick.
makes you really
The
respect.
Burbs are way cooler out there, by the way.
Mies.
It makes you respect Mies a lot
Oh, yeah.
more because you see this thing and you're
Where-
like, this
where it's
is
meant to
cool,
be.
but Mies did such a better job. So
He had a soul.
Mies also had a lot of critique of the Glass House and how sloppy it was. So as like the Chicago person going back to Connecticut, being like, yeah, you guys don't know what you're doing anymore.
You don't know about glass.
The corners specifically were just sloppy.
That's cool.
But what are you going to do?
Throw rocks.
I love
Yeah.
New York area's
Correct.
beer scene. You know.
Do you?
Yeah, I just love the fact that you could just go like somewhere in Hudson Valley, plop down in the middle of nowhere, and create this little utopia. It's
Oh, the New York
beautiful.
State beer scene
Yeah, yeah,
versus
Well, I
the
mean-
Illinois State beer scene.
yeah. I mean, there's prettier locations, right?
And there's pretty locations in proximity to
Yeah, each other.
the
Well,
population center.
that's
Yeah.
pretty much everywhere compared to Chicago.
Yeah,
Many places compared to
I
Chicago.
don't know. Like, yeah, sure.
It's one of the things we're lacking, I think, is scenery. Well, we have a giant lake. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but that's in the city, like the city center.
True.
For the most part.
Well, there's a huge demand for this kind of utopian park project down in the community of the future.
oh, you don't say.
You guys could see the renderings of that.
Okay.
And that'll be
The Epcot ball's gonna be.
Or there'll be
the
yeah,
Bridgecot.
yeah,
Center.
the Bridgecot ball.
The
Sorry,
Bridgecot
my
Center?
It'll be
bad.
centered. The Bridgecot Center will be in the middle of this massive park.
and the mascot will be what?
Oh gosh, I didn't even think about the
King
mascot.
Kona, perhaps, or
He doesn't,
King Co-
he doesn't
you know,
live in
it-
Bridgeport. Though.
where
He
is?
doesn't
And
live
I know
there
we need to
anymore.
get. Oh, I was just gonna
Yeah,
ask.
yeah.
I haven't
He
heard
moved to
from
Austin.
him.
I heard.
Oh, he did. He moved to Austin.
No.
Oh no!
Thank
I
goodness.
Just
misheard.
he's sailing.
He's
Okay.
Yeah.
the
That's not
Christopher
really.
Cross
He doesn't use a sail though, so it's not
No,
technically.
he's not actually
boating.
He's
bo-
hovering.
He's not actually doing the sailing. He's on the boat.
He's on the boat,
Yeah.
and
With
it's being
with
towed by his
sailors.
hovercraft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's being towed
Finally-
by the hovercraft.
Finally
Finally-
out of the jewelers.
Finally out of the jewelers.
Mm-hmm.
It's been there for a long time.
Yeah.
That's great. It's great.
It's
Dang thing's a
thank
lemon.
God.
Got to take it
finally
back to the jewelers.
Finally a dub for King Kona. You know.
Yeah.
He'll
Yeah.
be back. He'll be back.
That's
He'll be
good.
back.
He's not on social media, so you gotta like call him on his phone.
What does he have?
He's got a flip phone,
Flip phone.
Oh.
Razor.
probably.
Yeah.
Not
Sidekick.
Jitterbug.
Jitterbug.
What's that?
It's for like
Oh,
for old. For like that's like a phone that
Giant
can't get
letters.
off, dude.
There's like huge for
how-
the
It's
old
like
people.
call your son.
Yeah, it's like if he's dying. How old is King
I think
Kona?
he's got one of those.
Is he a child king?
I just love him taking massively important business calls on his jitterbug while on a yacht. It's hooked up to satellites.
It's being towed by his
it's a power
bejeweled
move.
hovercraft.
Yeah, exactly.
Power move.
We're back, baby. This show.
Yeah.
It's been a minute for this show.
Yeah.
You know, this show's already started off to be really derailed.
It never got on the rails.
Oh my god!
It just
I'm glad we started right on time for this.
yeah.
too. Well, I actually have an extra 10 minutes, so it worked
Oh,
out
what-
perfectly towards our original plan.
Perfect.
So let me ask you, Edmar. You're a a surrogate co-host. You've been on so many times in the past.
Ask me.
Do you want to start with? Do you want to talk about how important Goose Clybourne was and their final days? Do you want to talk about them and then Metro, or do we want to go right into the meat and talk about what this Bivana thing is that Kate has extensively covered?
Why don't we just kind of go through the kind of scene right now that leads into the what Kate was writing about? Because what Kate wrote about is especially important. Because what's been happening is the so-called beer apocalypse, right?
Yeah.
That we've been experiencing all over the country, and here in Illinois and Chicago, one of the true OGs of craft beer in Chicago was Goose Island, as many people know. And then they were purchased by the Borg, and people kind of made fun of them, like many people here on this show. Maybe made fun of the Borg for a while, right?
Perhaps.
There are people we know that would make fun of the AB InBev Borg.
Yes.
Borgweiser.
And, it's so there's a lot of tears being shed because Goose represents this kind of like magical time where craft beer was just kind of born in Chicago, and it was the place to go. And so many brewers, or so many people who started breweries, worked at Goose, whether they were brewing or not, is up to the mythology of the owner of the breweries. But it's really important that place was a hub that spawned so much activity here in Chicago and around the country, with all the second and third wave breweries that came out, right? And then, of course, the other story that we have listed in our document talks about one of the breweries that are closing as well. Now, the thing about Goose Island is that it's closing, but it's moving to like a world-class music facility, the Salt Shed, which is an incredible place.
But they're owned by a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yes.
So they're closing a tap room to move it.
Yeah, to a hedge fund.
If they wanted to, they could open
to
both.
a hedge fund-owned super nightclub,
Right.
Which is great.
They could open both. They're not closing it to move it.
No, they didn't need to close the first location at all.
Right.
This is just like they probably paid money, knowing the company, to be at this location to serve their beer, which is a great move because they'll be serving tons of beer to people who come to amazing shows there, comedy shows, music shows, etc. So it's a great move in a sense that they'll get more business perhaps on those days that the concerts are going on, but it won't be a lively brew pub experience the rest of the time. It's going to be a dead location. In fact, I doubt it'll be open every day. I'm guessing that in a year it'll only be open when there's a concert there.
Oh, I am not sure about that.
It might be open, but
I hope I'm wrong.
I'm never going to go there.
I'm just
on
saying.
principle.
I'm just saying. For the people who are not into the Borg, they haven't even been to Goose Island anyways. The original tap, nobody's going there.
Well, let me say this though. Let me just on the flip side. Goose Clybourne is dead, so we can, we can speak ill of it if we want, but there's also some legitimate things to say.
I'm saying they shouldn't have closed Goose Island. Clybourne.
That's what I was saying too.
They should never have closed it. They should have just opened up their extra little brewery inside the nightclub.
So I think that they kind of have a severe hate relationship with the landlord.
Oh,
there,
okay.
And have for years and years and years and years, and we're kind of glad to be able to tell them to go
like
shove
a
it.
pre-buyout too, right?
Oh yeah, for like decades and decades, and we'll
all right.
leak to the papers whenever contracts came back up. The lease came up, like, oh, Goose Clybourne is closing. Have it go into the paper. Yeah, was just a rotten
just
dude.
mess with them.
Yeah,
but today, 10 or whatever, 15 years after the sale, right?
Right.
There's a corporate little bean counter dealing with the lease.
True.
And the cost of this location, and no one there will ever speak to this real estate company. So there is no human connection between the landlord and the people who work there. So I'm not sure that's really a reason why they were happy to get out of there.
I talked to some people who seemed to be talking to the landlord directly.
Okay.
It might have been
just guessing.
Yeah. So
when you're living in a Borg world, the Borg speaks for all.
I'm a Borgy girl. Yeah.
Just saying. I'm just saying, Mike.
Yeah. Here's one thing I will say. I went there last Thursday, which is a couple days before they closed, because it was Chicago Beer Society's first Thursday. They have it here now because they didn't feel welcomed at Goose Island anymore. So they came here, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
But they wanted to do the last one there, and they asked if that was cool. I was like, absolutely. I'll be there too. And I went there, and it was crazy. Like, you realize the impact that place had on so many people.
Yeah.
And who just was there, not even for First Thursday. They were just there. So, like, Josh Deeth and a whole bunch of Rev people were just off in the corner. The Mike Siegel was just there for kind of like one last time. It's Ashman. Is it Todd Ashman? The president of Goose Island was there. John Hall was there.
Wow.
Ray Daniels was there. Randy Mosher was there. And, like, I was having a beer with Mike Siegel, and, like, Ray Daniels walked around, and he says, I just want to walk around this place one more time. He's like, this was, like, the formative place for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's crazy.
It was still very important to me, and I didn't even move into Chicago proper until 2010. And it was still, like, that was a very early place to go. Also, hilariously, I used to just go and watch Northwestern football games there because Austin from Promiscuous was bartending there at the time, and he also went to Northwestern, so he would, like, put the games on. So it was such a weird little. It was like part sports bar, part people who, like, accidentally wandered there from, like, shopping.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
On Clybourne at, like, the Bed Bath and Beyond, and then they were like, "You guys have beer here?" I think this was pre-Patagonia.
Oh, sorry.
But it was such a cool, like, cross section of people. Anytime I was in there, and just a place that I am really sad to see go, and that the fact that I won't be in Chicago to have a final beer there is a really sad thing. I'm jealous of all of you getting to go. I think it's important to have those moments with landmarks or with places, like, to have closure is important when they just disappear before you're able to kind of give them their proper send off. I think it kind of, it doesn't wrap it up so neatly, and it kind of sucks. So have a beer for me.
That. I never really had that connection with it, to be honest. Like, I mean, I moved here I was 18, so I moved here in 2007. But by the time I got into beer, I was, like, already on, like, Half Acre's cooler. So, like, I never really, like, had the moment. And I worked at that Binny's for, like, a while, right close to it, and I almost never went there. And I think maybe it's partially because I was just, kind of a whippersnapper. But
I mean,
what is that music?
I don't know.
Is that you, Ed? Is that music coming
Oh
from?
my goodness! I hope not.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah.
TikTok is open.
I never had that connection with it, so I haven't been there to see it off or anything.
It was cool. I've been
But I'm
going
glad for
there
people who got to
probably
do that.
since 2002. It was one of the first. It was certainly the first brew pub in Illinois that I'd ever been to when I moved here. Mm-hmm. And I mean, think about it. Like, that's where the first, like, Bourbon County, like, releases and all that stuff went. I don't know. I mean, it is an important place.
No, it's very important historically for craft beer in Chicago.
Right.
It's sad that it's gone.
Just think about how many breweries actually have a book written about them that wasn't written by the owner of the brewery.
Right.
Like,
right.
I think it's one. Like, there might be, like, some, like,
probably Budweiser
and stuff, but, like, it's like
Guinness.
it's the only craft brewery that has a book written about it that wasn't just like, I'm Sam Calgione and I'm gonna write
Here's
7 books for some reason.
Right. Yeah.
Which is influential or representative of how influential it was and how it is
for
still.
for Chicago
and the original bartender
in general.
Is or I don't know if he's original, but he's been there for 28 years at Clybourne. I think his name's Adon.
New guy.
Yeah, new guy. Was there, and he pulled me one last pint. It's called Last Call, the final beer that they brewed on the system.
Beautiful.
A bitter.
Gotta be.
Beautiful.
They brew a bitter, put it on cask. Don pulled it for me. Been there 28 years. And we were thinking, has he poured, I mean, who knows, but he could be the bartender who has poured the most beer in the city of Chicago, or at least the most craft beer. Certainly the most craft beer.
Most cask beer, for sure.
Most cask beer. I would say most craft beer for sure.
Oh, yeah, dude.
What about most beer?
Michael
There's probably guys
Michael
who...
Roper, maybe.
I bet this guy's poured more beer than Michael Roper,
That's true.
dude.
Actually pulled the handle
This guy
himself,
is
for sure.
It's like pouring beer constantly. Now there might be someone who's been a bartender for 50 years and has, a 20-something year head start on this guy, but
Well, the thing
he's
is,
got to be up there. It's pretty amazing.
This brewery closed because they moved locations. Corporate made a decision to move somewhere else to do another deal. Right?
Yes.
But you have a lot of closings in Chicagoland recently.
Right. And then so this Sunday
Yeah.
is the final day of Metropolitan. I'm gonna try to get there. I was planning on just getting there the last day, but now I'm thinking, I wonder if you'll be able to
Get
in there.
Yeah, you'll be waiting in the hallway.
Yeah,
I
I'm
was
okay
actually,
for
I
that.
was there right before I came here, and it wasn't crazy. Like last week, actually, was crazier.
Yeah.
I've been stopping in the last couple of weeks before I came here for a beer, just to have one.
Yeah.
And last week was slammed. I saw Josh Noel. I saw Alexi. I saw
Right.
A bunch of people that, I saw a couple people I know again this time, but it was not nearly as crowded.
And they're a brewery that's affected by a lot of different things. A lot of breweries are closing because whatever, they're undercapitalized. They couldn't weather pandemic. They came out hoping to be better. Can't make changes to get more distribution, there's a million reasons, right? Why
But just
breweries-
today,
Yeah.
Mike and I were talking about a brewery auction, and you have been looking at brewery auctions for years, Mike, but they're starting to become closer to home. So this one's literally in my neighborhood, and then somebody was asking me about what auction was up today. I was like, oh, it's Empirical. And it was actually Urban
it wasn't.
Brew
Yeah, it was
Labs.
different.
Urban
But
Brew Labs,
there
yeah.
is also Empirical, also in my neighborhood,
Was across
also
the
gone
street,
out of
but
business.
that was a year
And
ago.
so that kind of struck me as well. So we have Metro is closing this Sunday, and there's two that have already closed. One of them's going up to auction. Went up to auction today.
Yeah.
Which one's that?
Urban
Brew
Brew
Labs.
Labs.
The Urban Brew Labs, yeah.
Yeah, where Metro
Which is actually Metro's
started.
original spot, and Koval. And then Metro actually already listed their stuff for auction.
Did they really?
announced
Oh, they
they're
did?
auctioning already.
Oh,
yeah.
no kidding.
Yeah.
Huh.
They have, you can't see all the lots yet, but they're like, hey, we're doing it.
Wow.
So,
the banks want their money.
yeah, it must not be Metro's equipment anymore.
No, they would
Which
not
is
have put
how
that
it
up for auction like that so quickly if it was theirs. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah.
For a weird bit of, or to chime in with national context, if we
Please
were
do,
interested
please
in
do.
that.
Yeah. Always.
Bart Watson just gave a preview of his year in beer report.
Oh, can I
And
guess? Can I guess? Things
the
are
number of
looking up.
openings and
Double-digit
closings.
growth again.
Things are looking up.
20% by 2020, baby.
Yeah.
You don't laugh, you
400
cry.
420 breweries opened this year. Nice.
Sick.
But
69
300
closed. Oh, damn it.
that would be too good. 385 closed, which that difference of 35 is the smallest it's been in modern
Craft beer
craft
history.
according to Bart. Yeah. Which, for even during the pandemic years, it was the openings are still outpacing closings, net, and obviously they still are, but that gap feels very notable to me because it's never been that close of a gap before.
And that just shows you, if we want to lead into your piece that you wrote about, right, is that a lot of these smaller breweries are struggling with their sales, and they're looking for so many different ways of increasing their sales, either by hiring their own sales staff and self-distributing, finding a distributor, right? They don't have room to expand, so they're They're co-packing in a different brewery. Like lots of breweries have tons of space for you to brew at now. When in the past, you would never even consider offering those opportunities to people. There's all kinds of strategies. Like we have the strategy here, like we have the pilot brewing where there's like 4 breweries working in a small system.
When you say here, you mean
in Chicago.
Chicago.
Yeah, here in Chicago. We have the brew yards. What are they? Is that what they're called?
District brew.
Yep.
District brew yards. Another place where, you know, if you don't have the funds to open up your own place, you could start off here, brew in their tanks, get some handles, see if people are buying your stuff. And none of these models seem to be working very well for those people who work in that structure, right? Over at a district brew yard.
Funky Town is doing really well out of Pilot Project.
Well, breweries, I believe that I don't know this for sure, but most of the Pilot Project breweries that I heard were brewing at the Pilot Projects. They're there as like a marketing effort.
Sure.
They're actually not it's not a business.
It's there to
yet.
raise capital so they
but
can.
It's the show that
There are ones that are working, but most of them are not.
I'm just saying, in general, most of these places operate as a way to kind of like start your brewery. Right. They're not like, it's not a business.
They're quote unquote incubators, right?
Yeah. So that's a way to get into brewing, right? And now, of course, if you're looking at the auctions and stuff, you can get one for relatively cheap.
Yeah.
But even at the price that they're offering, why would you start a brewery now? You got to be out of your mind. But
because you love it.
So this company that if you just want to break into it now to discuss this thing, because it's fascinating to me that they wanted they wanted to work with 400 breweries. They wanted to figure out how to produce their product for them, license the brand, and distribute it nationwide. It's very ambitious.
Yeah. So, Kate, would you mind just giving us the overview of this article that you wrote and have up on Good Beer Hunting?
And I also never heard of this company before until your article came out.
I thought it was Bavana, the brewery.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, okay.
Exactly. I thought the same thing.
What have they got? What have these rascals gotten into this time?
There was, I believe, some sort of a legal dispute between Bavana Partners and Brewery Bavana with an H.
Yeah.
They're both from North Carolina.
Oh my gosh.
However, the article I ended up writing is like 4,000 words long, and I didn't even get into that because
no room.
I had to I had to draw the line somewhere.
They're doing a lot.
So this piece that I reported for Good Beer Hunting about Bavana Partners, like Beverage Nirvana, they are a North Carolina-based company. I wanted to write this story because I had been hearing about them a lot. I was hearing about them at conferences or just getting press releases about new breweries working with them. I knew Jester King was working with them for e-commerce sales. So was Resident Culture. And I just didn't totally understand what the company did, and no one could explain it to me very well.
Your article is very well written, and I read the whole thing, and I'm not sure if I still totally understand what they're trying to do.
I mean, I think they're saying See, I think to me, I want to hear your lead in a little more, Kate, and then I'll tell you what I think they do.
My apology. I got an idea what they do now, but
well, this was what was strange about them is they were, kind of partnering with all these different breweries, but when I would ask, even knowledgeable people in the industry, like, what exactly does the company do? It was like, it's kind of like this brewery accelerator. And then other people were like, they're a contract brewery. And then people were like, they do e-commerce. And I was like, what does this company do? So that piqued my interest. And my goal was just to write a pretty comprehensive story about what the company did, because I couldn't find that anywhere. And then as I started reporting, I realized, oh yeah, this is a pretty ambitious, gutsy move that, if they do what they say they're going to do, is really kind of a solution to, like Emar was saying, to so many of these challenges that craft breweries don't really feel equipped to meet right now. So it felt like a very timely story. Like, this company is coming in to solve some of the most pernicious problems for businesses in this industry. And then as I got even further in the reporting, it was like, well, are they delivering on what these ambitions are. Many breweries I spoke to, many former employees I spoke to said there were issues with, if not the model and its basic aims, then at least with the execution. And yeah, now lawsuits are happening.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah, I mean, it's common for like a distributor maybe to not pay you, right? Or destroy a bunch of beer, and you kind of the relationships get sours or whatever. But like the number of things he reported on is pretty amazing.
Well,
like,
it was all of the things, right? It was all of the things that like we're gonna do all the things, and then we're not doing a great job.
Well, yeah. Can you just go through some of these
like what were they supposed to do?
Issues that Bavana was saying that they could help do?
Yeah. So at its core, Bavana is sort of a craft brewery accelerator / the term like cloud manufacturing was used a lot. So
I'm going to call shenanigans.
I got
both
some
of
crypto
those,
for
not
that.
on you, but on the terms.
Just put a cloud in front of it. That way, it doesn't have to really exist.
Yeah,
it sounds better than white labeling.
If it's in the cloud, it just
doesn't exist.
It doesn't
is,
exist.
yeah.
We're a tech company.
So yeah,
if it's
cloud manufacturing. Sorry for
Cloud
interruption.
manufacturing. This is how the CEO Andrew Dershowitz put it to me. He's like, all right, so we have small breweries that are growing and struggling to meet demand for their beer, and they can't scale up without millions of dollars. And then we have some larger breweries that have excess capacity and would love to fill those tanks. If you could take the folks that need to scale and brew their beer on the folks who have extra space, you create efficiencies, you create, some synergies. He probably didn't use the word synergies.
He used the word synergies.
I knew it spiritually.
Yeah,
we were
right.
talking about
Right.
synergies.
Allegedly, he used the word synergies at some point.
I would never accuse someone of using the word synergies if they hadn't.
I will.
So that's one piece of what they were doing. And the way that Bavana structured this is that a small brewery that needed to scale would license the brand rights to Bavana, who then pays these other breweries to contract brew this. Also, at the same time, Bavana handles the sales and distribution for those brands that they're helping you scale, because they also recognize that many craft breweries are like, I don't know how to manage possible chain retail placements. I don't know how to do distributor relationships. I don't really want to deal with multi-state sales. It's not my area of expertise. I would love to offload that to someone. So Bavana does that as well for those full service partners. Also separately, you can partner with Bavana just to do your e-commerce. So that's like what Jester King and Resident Culture do. They're just like, hey, we don't like doing e-commerce fulfillment, building the website, interface, whatever. Can you handle that? Bavana ships to 42 states. They say they're in compliance. Again, that was sort of outside the scope of my article. So that's a whole separate wing.
It's like a mini Borg. It's like a startup tech Borg.
Like comes
trying
up with
to
problems and like
be.
we're gonna solve it.
Yeah,
Right.
It has
Like,
that kind of mindset, like a little unicorn of saving the beer industry.
Well, yeah, right. Or at least saying so, right? Like reading this article, it seemed very much like someone reverse engineering. What does every brewery need? All right, we'll tell them that we can do that, and then we'll figure it out.
It's possible that they did do that for different breweries, and they thought that they could duplicate that with multiple breweries.
Well, they didn't even do it for their own brewery.
But I mean, I could see how you put the pieces together.
Their own brewery's down 40% year over year.
To me, I had a slightly different take. To me, it felt like it was like, and I might not get this exactly right, but like the Walmart, but that also has like a pharmacy and an eye care center, and there's a dentist and a photographer and an auto shop, and all these things on there, except Walmart started out as a store and then kind of grew into
And then
these things.
people were there and sort of like, what can we do for these people who are already here?
And this was like, they looked at like everything, like somebody popping down and be like, people need to see eye doctors and people have cars and people want to buy things. I'm just going to make everything at once.
Right. Well, I'm going to tell you I can do all these things at once.
I mean, they might have. So you have a little bit more of like a snake oil salesman pitch to it. Like they never really thought they could fulfill it.
Yeah,
right,
I think
Mike?
I think I think it was very much the entrepreneurial idea of I'll build the plane while we jump off the cliff.
Perhaps.
I don't know, Mike.
Perhaps.
It seems like they started with the brewery. They grew the brewery. They went through the expansion. They realized the challenges of it, according to your piece, Kate. And they said, well, hey, we could help other people do this. I mean, that's what brewers do for each other. That's what you experience it yourself.
Yeah, of course.
Right? We see it all over the place. The weird thing is like, there's just like, there must be like a team. Like, we're really good at building websites and fulfillment. Why don't we add that as a service? Which is great because nobody wants to deal with fulfillment. It sucks.
But,
right?
I mean, are they good at any of these? Were they
if
good
Jester
at any of these
King
things?
is using them as fulfillment for e-commerce, I'm guessing they probably
No,
did a decent
I mean,
job.
That's one point.
What I'm saying, like they probably did the things for one or two or three or four or half a dozen people.
There were breweries that I talked to that were pleased with the way that they were, with the way that Bavana was working for them. However, I would say that especially the breweries that I talked to that did feel like Bavana is really delivering on, especially like growing our sales in chain retail, turning on new accounts. Those, I'm thinking of this one brewery out of the Southeast called Pursuit, which is like a low calorie, almost like Mick Ultra competitor.
Yeah, the Bond Brothers.
It's
not a craft brewery.
It's
right?
just
like
a
it's
brand.
a lifestyle brand.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so that, and the founder was very clear that, you know, he is experiencing success with Bavana, perhaps because he's offering them a product that like is easily scaled into chain retail versus like
Mars
right.
Community
Bavana.
Brewing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
You know what
not
I mean?
like he was very
Right.
specific. Like this is not.
I hear Jungle Boogie is a goat beer.
Yeah.
Well, he was very specific.
somewhere.
Like also, like this is a commodity. It is not as
Right.
expensive as a lot
It's
of these
cheap to
beers. Like
produce,
we
yeah.
want to make a lot of it. Like we want to make only this.
But the thing is, like, it does. Obviously, the company works for some and not for others. Almost like a distributor works for some and not for others. How many times have you heard from your friends in the industry, Mike, where it's like, oh yeah, I was working with these distributors. We were doing really great. We were doing really great. And all of a sudden, I'm no longer being called. Orders aren't coming through, or they're really small orders. They don't want my product. There's cycles where the distributors themselves find you as like the hot boyfriend for the year, a couple months, and then you're dropped, and you're stuck with this relationship with a distributor. I'm assuming that this company did the same thing with dozens of other breweries that it wasn't working. It didn't move. They made a bad decision that no one gives a crap about your beer.
There's
And
other
they're
layers.
not going to sell it.
There's other layers to it too, where like they were producing the beer, and
And
part
they
of
did-
this
and they-
part of this article was people talking about how the sales reps were so uncertain about the consistency of the quality of the beer that they wouldn't want to go and sell it.
Yeah. Well, isn't that the mistake that so many brewers make when they contract brew somewhere else?
Yeah.
What you have a huge risk when you used to brew your beer and you're going to give your recipe and trust some other brewer or some other facility to do it. You're taking a big risk, and if you let that beer go out in the marketplace, that's the original company's problem,
Right.
Not this company's problem.
And I think you and I are on the same page. We're like, I don't want to give up any of it. Like, you know, like the self distribution and the ability to build relationships that way is really important. The brewing your own beer is of the utmost importance, so you can control the quality of it.
Yeah, but for some people, it's not. For some people,
Right.
these smart cats like the NA brewery you're talking about, just have some schmuck do it for cheap somewhere,
Low-cal brewery, no,
brand it the low-cal stuff, and just let's go. It's just
different product,
It's
though.
just a CP. It's just another CPG. It's just another stupid thing that they just thought would work because they saw athletic brewery work.
Well, I want to ask you, Kate, like if you are able to talk after the fact about it, like what was your feeling about Bavana? Like were they like legitimately able to, or did they have the structures in place to legitimately like attempt to do these things, or because part of it also could be, as I read it, that it's like sour grapes from some of these breweries who are like, I wanted it to be a silver bullet that like fixed everything for me, and it didn't, and it's their fault. They or is it somebody?
I got that. I read into that too. Somewhat.
Yeah, there's definitely some of that.
There's some of that is what they're saying.
There's definitely some of that. Like, we were already failing, and we thought this would save us, which is not fair to put on beer Bavana or whatever the beer Bivana. However you
But
pronounce
it looks like they were shady and they sold equipment.
Right.
Yeah, please tell us.
Yeah. So,
well, okay,
That's whatever the
so
question was.
I think I will say that like intention is very hard to discern, right? I don't feel comfortable like journalistically saying like, did the company like intend to? I don't think anyone intends to fail as a business.
Of course
I
not.
mean, what I do feel confident saying is that it seems like, there's a lot of detail in the story, and a lot of like each deal between Bavana and another brewery. It's kind of its own little beast. However, at a very fundamental question that I had when reporting this story was like, look, we know what the picture for craft is right now at retail, and you are promising the golden goose, which is like, you're going to be able to make the beer you love, and we're going to sell a ton of it. And I, like my fundamental question was just kind of like, how? Like, where is the demand coming from? Like, what are you saying? Right. What is Bavana sales rep saying to a chain buyer that no one else knows how to do?
And did you talk to anybody about what Bavana was saying when they were selling some of these suppliers on?
Yeah. So the grand idea was that Bavana was going to kind of like come with this. It's what all the roll-ups say, right? We've got this portfolio of brands that you're going to love, and you don't have to talk to 20 reps anymore. You can just come to me, who has the full book, and like, I'll help put it together for you, the retailer. They were talking about like Bavana only end caps and stuff like that in a kind of a perfect world. Again, you'd have to have a really diverse array of in-demand breweries to even make a consumer like want to look at that.
Right.
Yeah. And then, of course, when you look at the realities of the actual brands that they were working with initially, a lot of whom were like really struggling to sort of find relevance and stay alive as businesses, like that's not compelling to retailers or consumers. Like, you better have a really strong playbook. I mean, that's what everyone's trying to do. It's what Canarchy is trying to do. It's what Tilray is trying to do. Like, that's the whole dream of the roll-ups.
AB InBev's
like,
trying to do.
One-stop shop.
The Borg is trying to do.
Guys?
Yeah.
That is what they should.
The OGs of it all.
And that's what they're trying to do. Yeah.
So that was sort of a fundamental question that never really got resolved for me. It was just like, well, okay, like that sounds great. How? Like, how are you going to execute on that strategy? And I think Bavana candidly did recognize some of its missteps, particularly in not being perhaps selective enough about some of the breweries that it worked with early on, because it was sort of a come one, come all. We'll take anyone who raises their hand.
Anyone who opens their checkbook. Yeah. Well, that's my word.
So, I think there are some fundamental problems with the structure of the company. Something we didn't even get into was like, the 3-tier system is already like annoying and bloated, and you just want to be like another middleman here, essentially. That was something that a number of sources outside of the company, just sort of neutral industry participants were like, I don't want to meet with another person.
Right. Well,
I don't want another rep.
That was part of the story too, of like sales reps going in and like Bavana representing some production from a brewery, and then a regional distributor representing other production. Which like seems insane.
I must have missed that part.
Yeah, where it's like, and the sales reps being like, well, I'm not going to try to sell this in here because now I'm going against this distributor I work with for this other brand or something, or for this same brand. Like it was like just it was just a mess.
Messy,
and
that's something that Bavana could have really realistically seen coming unless they were super savvy. I mean, I guess you probably should have.
You should definitely see that coming, right? Like,
I guess, but I mean that one I'll give them because like if they're new to the space, I guess
if your strategy is to move volume for 400 breweries,
Yeah.
right? Then you have to have a good understanding of where you're going to move that, right? And
Sure.
so,
but like but Kate, am I getting it right? So one brewery's portfolio was split between two different sales forces working for two different companies. Kind of, or no?
so I
How could
think
that be?
well, it sometimes could be the same sales rep, but the beer would be coming from two different places. Is my understanding of reading that is right.
Okay.
Sorry, didn't mean to. You probably should just let you say.
No,
it.
that's okay. So
I bet.
one case that was like confusing to me, this brewery Arches out of Hapeville, Georgia, they only sold a handful of like their core beer, licensed a handful of their core beer brand rights to Bavana. They maintain brand rights over some of their like smaller taproom only specialty stuff. So because they're just like Bavana, you handle the flagships, get bigger volume for those. So my confusion was like, okay, but so say I'm Beer Temple and I'm like, cool, I want your flagship IPA, but then like I also want some of your specialty, that anniversary beer that you have coming out. That Bavana sales rep is going to have to be like, I can get you the flagship, but like for the specialty stuff, you got to like talk to the other guy. You got to talk to the brewery itself. There were also some complicated crossed wires with distributors who, this is getting like really in the weeds.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
But okay, yeah, but so I want to like read this verbatim almost from the story because yeah, okay. So say like Bavana has a chain meeting with like the grocery store Harris Teeter. Harris Teeter is interested in selling a brewery in Bavana's portfolio, but that's not a brewery that is distributing through the distributor that got the meeting at Harris Teeter.
Oh my
So you're
gosh.
like sitting in this meeting with your distributor who got you this like chain meeting and you're like, yes, it's in our Bavana book, but like, that's actually from distributor B. Like it's just awkward.
So
It's
there's
just-
so
They are
it's
not
literally
themselves a distributor.
so it is literally different distributors then.
Yes, they
Yeah.
themselves are not a wholesaler. They work with a number of wholesalers in North
But
Carolina
one-
and other states.
Wait, so they're not a wholesaler?
No,
No.
they're
So
a middleman.
So they just rep
They're-
brands but they don't have the ability to actually
and
distribute.
this is in the weeds. I don't know
That's-
how important it is, but am I getting this right that one brewery could be represented by two distributors, or am I not getting that right?
No, I think that was my misunderstanding, that I thought they were also the distributor. And so
Okay.
when it would be like a rep would be in there, but it comes from a different distributor than the meeting that
So it's just you have just supply reps out the ass then with this thing. You're just like
right. Which you know what every beer buyer loves is confusion about who to ask to buy a thing they finally want to have.
well, you kind of like don't. Yeah, in the end, you don't go to either of them for the sale. You go to the distributor, which is
Right.
what.
Yeah,
mean,
it seems like the most complicated company to understand and
also seems
probably
like
to
it
work
can't
for.
possibly
You know,
be
it's
in
like
compliance.
I'm assuming these guys they're getting sued by a number of people, and they're probably going to go out of business soon.
yeah,
Yeah.
Is that a good guess?
It's a mess.
They're currently being sued by Pontoon Brewing, as well as Bavana's parent company also owns the brewery D9 that Bavana was sort of like born out of. Both D9 and Bavana's parent company, Community Brewing Ventures, are being sued by their bank for like $150,000.
Oh, that's not a lot.
Which I guess in the grand scheme of things isn't that much money.
No.
And they're just saying they're saying it was based on some sort of predatory increase in their
Sales
rate. They're
Yeah.
like which who knows what that is, but
So it's hard for me to speculate
Good
on
luck.
the future of the company. I haven't. Bavana did not return my last
I
request for
imagine
comment.
we're going to hear a lot more
Right.
about these guys in the next year or so.
and maybe it's just because they the breweries they were working with, were not doing well to start with. But that's where like my whole like this is snake oil and predatory kind of vibe at the beginning came from. Where it was like a lot of breweries that were like, we got one last shot, and that these guys came in saying, I can cure you. And like, maybe the intention was good, and they're like, well, once we get these breweries and we start selling some beer, then we'll get Jester King, and then we'll get these people.
Right.
And so, but it felt to me that it seemed a little predatory. But
I wouldn't.
Not a
Yeah, I can't say that one way or the other.
Not
I think I
asking
can
you to.
say that there are problems of there were issues of both structure and execution is how I walked away.
Yeah.
feeling.
I think it was well intentioned, but definitely over their skis. It seemed to be.
Well, there's other breweries that kind of do similar things with their own brands or their contracted brands. Like if you look at Octopi is contracting a ton of product.
Oh, yeah.
And they're working with an allied distributor that has distribution in 3 or 4 states. They're essentially just the same people working together within the 3-tier system. And it worked for them. It's working for them. Octopi is wildly successful at producing contract products of all types, right? So it seems like these guys, the Bravana guys, like, oh, if Octopi can do it, we should do it too, right? And I'm
does
sure.
Octopi promise the same sort of like sales support?
No,
None, not at all.
absolutely
I don't
not.
know. I mean, they develop brands. They work with other brands. And they probably set up distribution relationships with their distributors that they work with.
Yeah, but they're not saying we're going to get into meetings with the local grocery chain.
I don't know. I mean,
Are they? Did they promise
back
that
in the
to you?
'60s, those were the. I mean, who's the cat who left and went to work for Octopi,
Tim Faith.
and who else?
Adam Babrick.
Adam.
Yeah.
Adam. If we could get Adam on the show, Adam will know what was being asked and being told to customers or told to brands, right?
My understanding was Adam was there to recruit breweries to come there.
Yeah.
Not to go out to stores and sell those breweries beer.
But he would know.
I
is
don't
what
know.
I'm saying.
I don't know. But I'm assuming the story was come and brew here and we'll sell that beer for you as well and split the money with you.
I don't think that was I think that's implying a lot on a contract brewer that I don't think was making. Did they make that claim to you?
I could say that it was made clear to me that that's what the relationship was going to be.
Got it.
That this whatever we made together as part of whatever the other brands they started, it would be a collab brew that you'd split the profit on, or we'd make your stuff there and sell it in the markets that we're distributing in.
Okay.
And it's probably possible similar licensing deals. It was done all legally, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like this exists. And it probably exists in other kind of like co-packing facilities across the country.
Yeah.
This just seems like a fail son version of it.
Well, yeah, and also it's like the e-com side.
The e-com side's pretty awesome.
I mean, it's
Maybe that's what they just end up being. Then.
almost is like a brewer who every time they came across a problem would solve it themselves and say, us solving it is a new business model. Let's start selling us.
But did they solve it? Because like the brewery itself
I'm
is not
saying
doing
whether
a good
they did or
job.
didn't. I'm
They're
just
saying,
saying.
you know what we would like
Hey,
to
man,
have
I
is to
don't-
someone tell us that
Yeah,
this
but
could
I
happen.
don't know who these guys are. I see what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, but if they approached me, or if I actually needed their help, I would say to myself the next day is like, I'm screwed. No one's going to help me. We're screwed. It's over. It is over if I have to go to a place like Bravana.
Yeah.
That's how I would see it.
Same.
All right, and and I think there are a lot of desperate breweries, or there's a lot of
Right.
breweries that lost capacity, or they're unaware how to do distribution,
And there's
or they've been burned and it sucks, and because you know it sucks, you know how horrible it is to deal with multiple distributors. You know how horrible it's like. Oh yeah, we'll be taking orders every month, and they don't. There's a million ways of being
you just can't
disappointed
trust
dealing with the industry,
Yeah.
dealing with your supply chain, dealing with beer buyers. It's just a million ways to just say, what are we doing?
Sure.
Right? So when a company like this comes, like, we love your product, we know what you've been going through, we've experienced ourselves. They have empathy for all the problems of dealing with what it means to run a business.
They have awareness of. I don't know if they have empathy for.
I could see how you would want some help, and I'm just saying,
Of
like,
course.
if it came to that point for me, I'd rather just shut our place down and make a LAN gaming center. You know what I mean?
You'd probably rather do that than a lot of things.
Mine some Bitcoin.
I kind of just want to do that all the time.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, but some people don't have other things going on in their lives.
Right.
Some people have mortgaged their homes. They've taken tons of family money or whatever it is. Like, they have no choice but to try everything they possibly can before it's over. Right?
Yeah.
And I think I'm glad these guys are there to maybe help, but also you have to be very careful and you got to be very realistic and you got to look at how you've been burned in the past and know that's going to happen again, right?
Right.
You're going to get screwed again.
That's why, to me, it felt like best case, incidentally predatory. Like that we can help these people, and they just also didn't have it together.
Right.
But why?
Maybe they wanted.
But if you didn't think it was going to be, why would you make their beer? Why would you make a large batch of beer if you didn't believe you could help this company? Why would you even try to sell it in the chains?
Right, because then you're screwed.
Why would you even do anything? You would just, the best thing is like take the money and say, oh, there's no sales.
Yeah,
Sorry.
predatory would be like, you don't make it.
You don't make anything for them. So it's a really weird thing.
Maybe, but
predatory. It's just like she said. What were the two things you say? Poorly executed. What else?
Well, there are
problems with execution,
issues of structure, and issues of
There you
execution.
go.
Yeah.
That's the best way of putting it.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Um.
Well, hey, I hope that you guys don't mind, but at this point in the podcast, I have to let you know that I got to split in 10 minutes.
Perfect time.
Is it?
Because
you ready?
I think we have.
You're going to read the treasure map?
I think so. I think we should.
Well, Kate, do you have any final thoughts on
the treasure map
about the company or about where the story might go?
Edmar, you're like, this is like a really cathartic like therapy session for me with like a story I spent like a month reporting. You're like, do you have any other thoughts or feelings about it?
What a good co-host.
No, I mean,
Thanks,
I do. So good, so sensitive. No, I mean, I didn't write this story to like vilify anyone or to wag a finger at anyone. I wrote it because I think there are a lot of breweries in this situation. I think a lot of people are struggling with exactly the questions that many of these breweries were struggling with, and they're looking for solutions. And, people are trying to think big and trying to kind of rethink the structure of like how craft beer gets made and sold. And I think it's ripe for people doing innovative things. Obviously not all of them are going to work, but I think it's a story that feels like very 2023. Like this is just kind of where things are at for a lot of breweries.
That's beautiful. You're right. The confusion, the tension, the stress.
Desperation, yeah.
It's desperation. It's really...
the vibes are off.
It really is. It really is the zeitgeist. An excellent piece. One of the best in the year, without a doubt. Thank you for bringing this up. Like, I never heard of him. Someone like me who's way into incubators, way into this type of stuff, I didn't pay attention to these guys ever at all.
And we look for articles all the time of things that are like actually interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
And
shout out to
one of the most interesting things.
Beer advocate, beer aficionado, Doug Valicki, for first turning me on to this article. By the way,
well, really,
thanks, Doug.
Yeah,
Doug, we love you.
Yeah,
I miss you, buddy. I thought maybe you'd be here tonight and I'd touch you. No luck.
You can touch him another time.
Will you make sure I can touch him?
I promise you.
Thank you.
I will make it happen.
Thank you.
There's going to be a Kate Burnett article about the beer temple's touching problem.
No, this is all much wanted touching.
Yeah.
Doug's not here.
Doug,
I know Doug. He
would
wants
like
to be
to
touched by
He wants
Ed.
to be touched by me.
He does.
We all know that.
We all know it. Everyone knows it.
Doug, if you're out there, write us a letter about whether or not you want to be touched by Edmar.
Right, exactly.
You're going to witness us. You know what?
Leave a review.
You're going to see us touching.
That's true.
In this room.
That's true.
All right.
I have all the confidence.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's on not even the Patreon. That's the OnlyFans.
So we have to do right by Fademaster Surge.
Of course.
And let everyone know that our next book series episode is coming up way in advance.
In the future. 2
months almost to the day.
That's right.
February 13th. Just in time for Valentine's Day. You can listen to this podcast. I'll try to get it out in time for for Valentine's Day. We're recording it the day before, and then it'll be a romantic listening party.
A touching party.
Are
Yeah.
you kidding me? You have a romantic book club listening
Just
party?
listen. I'll let you decide. This book is called Hops and Glory, and it's a story of IPA. What's more romantic than that? This is our book club that we're doing. So we do a book club for the show, Ed.
You know me. I don't know what's going on.
Right. So we've done
And this is the book you want to
Designing
read.
Great Beers.
Hops. Yeah.
And then we had Randy Mosher come on and talk about it and fielded some questions from listeners. And then we did the same thing with Josh Noel and his
Barrel-aged stouts and
Barrel-aged
Selling
Stout
Out.
and Selling Out. And then this is going to be the third. And this is, I think, my favorite beer book I've ever read.
No kidding. Hops.
Yeah. And Glory. Best beer book I've ever read. It's a story of IPA, but he cuts it back and forth where the guy he goes and finds an original recipe for what IPA tasted like when it used to be
Back in the
sailed.
1700s.
Yeah, exactly. Went to an old Bass brewer, had him brew it, took it on a boat, had a cask, took it literally on a boat through a channel to London, and then sailed it around the Cape of Africa to India just to see what
does it taste like?
What does this thing taste like at
So
the end?
is Pete
And you
Brown
enjoyed
coming on the
this
show?
Yes, Pete Brown's coming on the show.
Cool.
Yes, he's awesome. He's an amazing writer, and he's really funny. And then he also cuts in the real history of IPA, and it's a very interesting book. If you listen to this show, I'm guessing
You're going to read this book.
you will like the
Yeah.
book, but it might be a little bit harder to get than some of the other books.
I got it on Amazon
no.
for like $5, a used copy.
Right.
But you should get some in the store.
I'm trying to. I don't know if it's published in this country.
Just buy them from Amazon.
Yeah, right. Okay, I'll try to.
Don't do it, Chris.
All right.
Don't go to the
You're
Amazon.
leaving
Don't-
now.
not
Are you
yet.
leaving?
Not
Okay.
yet.
Okay. So that was that. That's the plug. That's February 13th. But get the book now so you can read it
Yeah.
and then have some conversation
some
for
questions.
Pete Brown. Yeah. That's February 13th. But we have to keep reminding people of that.
Right.
But
Serge reminded us to remind people, so thank you, Serge.
I'm going to remind you, Mike,
Great.
that people send us letters sometimes, often electronic letters. That's what I call emails.
Right.
Yep.
Famously, I call them electronic letters.
Never made fun of you for that in my
Nope.
life. So
A lot of people, we may have some electronic letters. Don't check them too often. But this was put in my hand by a mail carrier. And so if you want to send an electronic one, I will.
Did this mail carrier have wings and this was tied to their leg?
Yeah, a pigeon.
Yeah.
Was it a pigeon? No, this was a human who handed me this.
Weird. Doesn't track.
But if you want to send it electronically, it's insiders@craftbeertemple.com. Let me get to it fast. This was sent all the way from Kettering, Ohio.
I bet he was drinking a Fatheads when he wrote this.
Well, let's just wait and see what he says.
Okay.
Well, maybe it's he. We'll have to see. Okay.
They say.
All right. So this is dated 11th November 2023. Hark and attend, ye lover of the brewed elixir. I put forth my musings on a most... I have not read this yet, by the way.
Really?
Yes.
I read it.
Oh, I have it.
You sent me the
Most
picture.
enlightening auditory feast, the Beer Temple podcast. Each episode is a wondrous journey as the hosts, Chris and Mike, thoughtfully delve deep into everything from beer history, styles, trends, tasting, to the most current events in the industry. To production, though wrought by modern means, carries the warmth and crackle of a warm fireside conversation with beloved friends. Oh, it's so nice.
He's a
You
bard.
should get a fireplace,
Yes.
by the way.
It's true.
We should put the fireplace soundtrack on.
Yeah, see if Serge
You
was here, he
log.
would do that.
Yeah.
In spirit of the
3 hours of
utmost
you alone.
admiration and respect for this auditory banquet, I bestow upon it the highest commendations. In the parlance of our times, where the measure of worth is oft quantified, I decree this podcast worthy of 5 bottle caps.
Woohoo! Let's
Woohoo.
go.
5 bottle caps.
That's the most you can get.
A perfect score. As rare and precious as a vintage brew from the cellars of the most esteemed brewery or the freshest headhunter in the land.
Hey.
Now as I lay down my quill, I raise my glass and salute and the deepest appreciation to the Beer Temple podcast. Huzzah! Don. Wow, what do you
Thanks.
go?
Wow.
Yeah,
We're getting
thank
so
you,
much.
Don.
You need to frame
as
that.
you said, Chris.
Hey,
He's
man.
getting so much 3-tier merch.
You got to put that in a frame and actually put it on a T-shirt.
I probably should.
Oh wait,
That was beautiful.
Okay, I have one more compliment about your article. Hearing all that beautiful language, you snuck erstwhile into your article to describe their
Oh, wow.
one of their arms of their business. And I've been watching a lot of Fargo recently and hearing erstwhile all the time. And great word, very underused word, but thank you for using that in the article.
Oh, thank you for caring about word choice. I feel like
It was the perfect
business
word for
reporters
the.
just do those things to like make ourselves happy. Like you got to leave like little Easter eggs for yourself. So the fact that anyone noticed is awesome.
Erstwhile.
Thank you.
Erstwhile.
And yeah, from one writer to the writer of this anonymous letter, this anonymous
Don.
Shakespearean
Yeah.
figure. Oh, Don. Oh, he
So,
has a name. Okay.
Don, if you want to send another letter this way, or even electronic, might be a little faster.
Where do they send the carrier pigeon? Because I
What?
refuse to believe this.
What size and how much and of what type 3-tier merch do you want? We're going to
Yeah.
give you as much 3-tier merch, as you want.
Yeah.
I've already talked to Don about it.
You're giving him 3-tier merch for that letter?
Yeah, so that's a new thing. We used to give
tier.
our
Is
merch.
that the top? Is that the top tier?
We've
It better be top
bivanaed
tier.
Yeah.
we've bivanaed our merch handouts for handwritten letters. We give merch to anyone who writes a handwritten letter, but we saw all this 3-tier merch that Don Bixel is now getting produced. So we said that we're just going to start sending them whatever you
beautiful.
want. Hydro
Don-
flask,
Hydro
Yeti
flask,
cooler,
Yeti coolers,
whatever you
5-panel
want.
hats.
Canoe.
I have a 3-tier North Face beanie that I recommend.
We can't guarantee that. But
wow.
we'll
You
see
have a
what
North
Don's
Face
got.
3-tier beanie?
My
Don,
God.
Don,
We'll see. We'll
Don,
see.
Don.
Don.
You hear my voice?
Don.
Where's my swag, Don?
Yeah, I don't have any swag either.
Where
by the
is
way.
my swag, baby? Who do you love, Don? You remember me? I remember you.
Yeah.
Do you remember our times together? I do.
Do you love me or do you love a North Face beanie? Who do you love? You love the beanie.
That's exciting, guys. I'm really pleased how you've upped your swag game.
Of course.
And,
Oh, yeah.
No one
I
wants
am going to go home. and
Non-existent Iswood swag.
I'm going to draw something on hexagon paper that's going to be a beautiful map. And it'll be like, I'll write a campaign out for you
For
guys.
3-tier.
I'm going to submit my own campaign, Dungeons and Dragons role-playing game campaign to you as a form of submission of like a letter to you.
Oh.
And you guys
I
will
would
be the
love
main
that.
heroes
We'll know
and
exactly
characters
what to
of
do
that.
with that.
Kate will be featured as
Yeah.
a bard.
Ooh.
Of course.
All right. Mike,
Yes.
I believe you will be a magician.
No, I like that.
Chris, obviously a paladin.
Obviously.
Of course. We all know what that means.
And with that, guys, I'm going to go back on my little adventure south to the community of.
All right, before
Fifth
you
Third.
go.
Yes, sir.
In a moment. You dropped off a whole bunch of stuff, right?
I did, yeah.
What the F is up with the red can over there? What's that stuff called?
High pie?
It is a THC beverage.
That's right, Chris.
What is the concentration of THC
It's
in
a
that
20,
can?
It's a 25 milligram dose.
Dude, you cannot drop that stuff off. I'm going to hand it to somebody.
Chris, you could share that with people you know who get high. Okay, like the regular dude, the person or whatever, whoever, the person who's a daily user will be like, oh, okay.
Okay.
What about people like me who use it once a year? When
Right.
Well, you could have
No one's
you could
around.
have our 10 milligram version, or
like
That would send me to
or you
space.
or you
I'm
could
like
have a
2
5
milligram,
milligram version.
yeah.
That's close.
We're,
Yeah.
We'll have a 5 milligram version for you. But I also
For the-
just
for
brought
the
holy
cowards.
water, just regular sparkling water.
So we got to blend it.
And unholy water has.
and also, take it easy, take your time.
Is that the motto? That should be on the can?
Take it
edibles,
easy,
for
take your
all edibles, take it easy, take your time. You guys know that.
Yes.
Chris, come on.
Chris
Know
will be
your dealer.
shotgunning
But
25
I would,
milligram.
that high pie
High
is to
pies in
be
the
that
clutch.
high pie is to be shared like slices.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
Of course.
But
Thank
thanks-
you, Ed.
Yeah, I hope you
Waterfall, the
guys
high pie.
share that with your colleagues.
Yes.
It's great to see
Kate,
you.
great to
See ya.
see you, Kate. I heart you, buddy.
Hi, Anmar.
It's good to see
so
you.
good to see you.
Yeah. I love you
All
guys.
right.
I'll see
Hi,
you.
good to see
See
you.
ya, Ed.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. And just like that, he's gone.
He's wearing the headphones.
Bye, guys.
What is that?
And just like
what's that noise?
Now yeah. Well, I hear it. It sounds like a hovercraft starting up. Doesn't it sound like it's starting up?
And
It's getting
there's a clanging noise of
no. It's getting towed now
jewels
by a
falling onto
jeweler.
the ground.
Yeah, the jeweler's towing it back to the shop. Oh well. Well, maybe next time. I guess he was getting picked up. It's like mom waiting for him. You know, I'm outside calling him on his jitterbug. Ed, I'm outside. I'm waiting. Oh my. Well, yeah, that was quite the letter. I hadn't read it. I assumed there was going to be a question. Most of our letters have questions or comments.
right.
It was just accolades, which is
Uncomfortable for both of us.
which is very nice.
Oh yeah, nice. It was nice.
Yes, very nice, very nice. Well, I mean, should we talk about the Juicy G, or should we just leave it? I mean, I'm always up for some juicy
we might
gossip.
as well bring up the Juicy G.
All right, let's get gossipy
It's
then.
not even that juicy or that. Yeah.
Okay, well, tell me about the gossip then. Or you want me to?
Yeah, you got it open,
Okay.
right?
No, but
Oh.
I still remember.
Well,
it.
a minority shareholder in Treehouse is suing the majority shareholders, wanting money, claiming they misused the fund.
Right. I mean, the
massive
fun
amounts
part-
of funds that they
the fun part is what they've used it for, which is like
G wagons,
ultra luxury vehicles and crazy vacations and houses
And real estate.
Yeah.
A money pit that like sprays the money in the telephone booth and then you just
Yeah.
grab it.
yeah.
I mean, it did make it sound like that. And
A Scrooge McDuck style swimming pool full of gold doubloons.
yeah, and it looked like this was the only minority shareholder who hasn't been bought out. Like they bought the shares back from
Yeah.
like most, if not all, but this one guy.
Because he was waiting to do this, right?
Right. So he's holding out, and then he wants his distribution as a, of the funds as a minority owner, and he's taking him to court, and I'm sure it's going to get, they're just going
They'll
to
settle
throw a
on
bunch of money
something.
at
Yeah,
him.
it's good
Right.
money.
Like, they're just going to give him a whole bunch of
That's what
money
it's
and
all
buy his
about,
shares. Yeah. So he'll get his, his money as a, if you're a minority shareholder here's how I feel about
In
this
almost
article.
any brewery, you're not getting any money.
No, I'm saying in this one.
Yeah, in this
in
one.
Treehouse.
Yeah.
The most profitable per barrel brewery maybe in the history of this country at
Yeah,
least.
Easily.
I mean, come on.
Easily.
And if you're a minority investor and you got in early,
Yeah.
you deserve to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And if you're Treehouse, you deserve to have a canister or a room full of cash.
Yeah.
That you just like, that's how you
Lay
get your
down,
spending
you
money.
Take a nap on
Like,
it.
I just need to, I'm just going to the store. Let me just, and just like grab some money, have it like stuck to your, stuck into the hoodie of your jacket as you walk out.
The Goodfellas scene where she's like, Karen's like, I need to go shopping. He just like pulls out the wallet. He's like, how much do you need? And she's like, this much.
Exactly.
And he's like, here you go, baby. I love you. Like, to
Yeah.
me, that's Treehouse. No,
Yes. To me, that is Treehouse.
So you read the article.
Right.
I'm not speaking as a
Did
journalist.
you write this
in
article?
current conversation.
No.
You researched this.
No.
Sorry,
no.
we didn't mean to bring
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
No. I mean, I think in both sides, I think they're doing. It's totally fine.
Yeah, I
Buy
just thought it was-
all the G wagons
It's
and
what-
ostentatious stuff you want.
It's also like, who really cares? It's a bunch of people who have made an obscene amount of money dealing with how much they're going to give to each other. Like, it's not like it's some brewery that's like, oh, if we have to pay this guy out, we're going to go bankrupt. It's like, oh, we can't buy a second golf course.
Right. Exactly. We can't
The
buy
first one is old and dirty.
Yeah.
I don't like it anymore.
No one
it. It only
understands.
has 9 holes.
No one from the local neighborhood that's coming here to golf understands that we're also a brewery who happens to make no beer here, but it's a treehouse golf course for some reason.
Hey.
That is a fun rabbit hole to fall down, is read Google reviews of central treehouse properties and watch them be like, "Oh, it was so great! It's the best beer I've ever had." And this have someone be like, "I don't know what's going on here. 1 star. Like, it took me forever to get 1 can of beer."
Oh, you're talking about reading,
Yeah.
like Untapped reviews.
It's, essentially, but for like their actual locations, where it's like they bought this golf course that people have been golfing at, and they're like, I don't know why all of a sudden all these people wearing like vests are coming and sitting in the clubhouse while I play golf. It's pretty fun.
I remember the most ostentatious display of wealth. I remember that maybe prior to them opening up a
golf course,
was when they were expanding and the municipal water system could not take the wastewater that just their expansion would require. So they upgraded and expanded the entire wastewater facility of the town.
Yeah.
Just so their brewery could expand and have enough. I mean, they upgraded the infrastructure of their entire town that they lived in.
Yeah.
Just for that brewery.
Yep.
I'm sure something like that has maybe happened before with other, I don't know about beer, but maybe
I've
like
never heard
other
about
industry.
It. Yeah, other industries maybe.
It's like it's
definitely not independent craft beer. Dude.
it's insane. It's
Yeah.
like, well, our wastewater treatment plant can't handle that much. We'll buy you a new one.
But we'll just get 2 more. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, how much money do you need for a new wastewater? About
This
this much. Yeah. Here you go. Here's some cash. Here's some extra spending money.
Yeah, that's
He's a good kid.
yeah.
Yeah.
They had a really sick matte black Sprinter van at CBC a couple of years ago. It was like matte black, and then in shiny black was just the Treehouse logo, and I was like, damn, I bet that thing costs more than my house.
Yeah.
And I heard someone talk about how like when they showed up, they threw the door open. They were all wearing matching bomber jackets and like aviator sunglasses coming out of it, which makes it a little bit less cool, to be honest. But,
Well, whatever.
But yeah, the Sprinter van is was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's, I mean,
It does probably cost more than my condo.
that's okay. You know what? Let them, they're the winners. They won.
Yeah.
And let them have it.
They definitely won.
I don't have any ill will
No,
towards
me
them.
neither.
They also execute very well.
Yeah.
What's up,
Oh,
Kate?
yeah. My question, because I read a couple stories about this when the lawsuit sort of was first made public, but is this minority shareholder, not to get in the weeds again, but is he alleging that he received no dividends whatsoever?
Yes, I believe
From
so.
this?
That's what my understanding is.
I mean, that's hard. If you're like watching Treehouse be Treehouse and you're like,
Agreed.
should I get a check?
Right.
Should I
Right.
be?
Right. The fact they gave nothing. I mean, I guess there's probably like what it sounds like was there was offers to be bought out, but there were no dividends.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But that, he's probably like, yeah, but you also owe me a lot of money for like.
He's like, can I have the Sprinter van?
Yeah, let me. And maybe that's what this is all about. He just wants the Sprinter vans, and they didn't give him a bomber jacket. He just wanted one bomber jacket, maybe some aviators.
Should have just gave him the bomber jacket, man.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know if maybe it's saying he got nothing, but I
My
think,
understanding was he got no dividend.
well, I think what he's saying is they created other shell corporations to funnel the money through so it didn't look like he was owed any money, I think is what they were saying. Like they created other companies that Treehouse would pay, and then those companies were wholly owned by the other owners, and they would reap all the benefit,
Right,
all the profits from
all the
those
real estate
companies.
for things that they bought, like the golf course and stuff. What he's saying is those are owned by a separate LLC that was created. That's just the 2 main owners.
Something along those lines. Yeah. Basically, they had shell corporations that they're used to funnel the money, but instead of away from the government, it's away from one minority shareholder.
Right. Who they probably was like,
Yeah.
he's gonna
He
get
argues.
money,
He also argues that the majority shareholders created 2 limited liability corporations designed to amass $13 million in real estate, including a $1 million waterfront home in Sandwich that is next to their brewery there. So like maybe not
Which
all
they
the money, but like
Yeah.
I want to buy a house and I want Treehouse to buy it for me, and it's going to be we'll just have another company. I mean, they obviously have lots of money people to tell them how to do this sort of stuff now,
Right.
which is
Which
what,
and
what
to
happens
be
when you
perfectly
win,
honest,
man.
Yeah, right. You always have the company that owns the real estate is almost never the company that owns the company, right? Or the entity that owns the company. It's just
Right.
not how it works ever.
Right.
Isn't
That's
that
like-
also
that's the
sort of like a
McDonald's
risk
story.
mitigation
Right.
kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like the McDonald's model, right? Where he didn't get rich because of he's selling hamburgers. He got rich because of the real estate that all the people had to lease from him.
I think Treehouse got rich because of the hamburgers, aka
do,
the
yeah.
hazy beer.
No, certainly. But
Yeah. No. It's rich people stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll never have to deal with those problems.
Yeah.
Exactly. When I buy my house in Sandwich next to my brewery, I'm going to do it
That's
differently.
where they invented the sandwich.
I have bought a sandwich next to a brewery.
Oh.
before. Like
That's-
it's like owning Treehouse.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. I do
13
feel a
million. You bought a
connection.
$13 million sandwich next to a brewery.
It's the best sandwich I've ever had.
It better be.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah. So that's the juicy gossip segment of the show.
Nice.
So there we
Probably
go.
that's our sweet spot. The
Yeah.
juicy gas.
Yeah. So next week is our end of year show. Have you ever been on an end of year show, Kate? I think you have, haven't you? No?
It feels like I should have,
Either
but I
think
don't
you've
been on
specifically
either
recall that.
end of year or a prediction.
Or a
show, I
prediction
feel
show.
like.
I'm pretty sure you
Ooh.
have, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, prediction sounds right.
Yeah. So we have the end of year show
Mm-hmm.
where we're going to be going through what we predicted the previous year.
So it's one show now.
No, there's two things. So we're going to look at what the story of the year will be for the next year. So there's a little bit of predictions. It's the same every year. We follow the same outline every single
And
year.
I get confused
Yeah.
every year
And
about how these are different shows.
we talk about the beer of the year. We talk about what we think the story of the beer of the year will be. And then we go back and we can look at what last year's predictions were, see if we think
Yeah.
they were right.
Christmas is past.
Yeah. Christmas, right, exactly. The gross of predictions past.
Yeah.
Predictions yet to
They have
be.
not treated us kindly.
Exactly. So it's always one of the more fun shows that we do. So that's coming up next week, and then I believe that's the last show for the year. You know, so next week, last show, end of year show. It's also where we put together our beers of the year, all sorts of stuff, big stuff. Mine was
Dibs on fatheads.
no, you can't say it yet. It doesn't count.
Call dibs.
False start. 5 minute penalty. So now you don't go
5
first. You don't go first. Okay, false start.
Still doing it.
Mine was Voodoo Ranger last year.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it
Your
was-
favorite.
No,
It's King
beer of the
Julius
year,
the year
not
before
my
that,
favorite
right?
beer. So looking forward to that. But
But you do drink more
Voodoo
Voodoo
Ranger,
than anything else.
yeah,
Yeah.
including water, more than anything
Just like
else.
all of us.
Yeah, I drink more Voodoo
Apparently
Ranger
all
than
of us
anything.
are.
All the colors, I know them all by heart. I know all the flavors, and I love them all equally.
Oh, you're responsible for New Belgium's, couple years of growth that single-handedly.
Single-handedly,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I just love it. I
Wow,
love.
It's cool to finally meet
He's
the
like-
person
Yeah.
behind
He's like
that.
Stone Cold Steve Austin, smashing two on his head and drinking them at
on a
once
purple.
all day long.
Yeah, I'm on a purple kick lately.
That's right. That's true.
It's been really scratching that itch.
Yeah.
So
Purple's the color of your energy right now.
yeah, it is. It is. Was amber, now
You
purple.
you guys should shotgun Edmar's THC water
absolutely
before
not.
the end of your
I'll
show.
do the
I haven't-
2-1.
I don't think I've
You
had
do
that-
the 25.
I don't think I've
I'll
had
do
that much
two.
THC in the last like 3 years combined.
Yeah, I would say that's probably true.
I would lose my
What a
mind.
way! What a way to end the year.
Yeah.
I would lose my mind if we drank those.
Yeah. Well, Kate,
Let's go.
yeah, let's do it. Do you have one with you? We'll all do it. Right? You'll just pantomime right
It's
off
legal.
camera.
It's legal here, so
Yeah.
if Ed could.
It's awesome. It's not
Pony
legal
Express
here.
me one.
Yes, it is.
No, I'm
Oh,
kidding.
okay. I was like,
we just
what?
talked about Edmar making 25.
We have some in the store right now. Like we do have some THC, not the 25 milligram stuff,
Yeah.
but we have some.
You can sell THC
Yes.
stuff?
Yeah.
Really?
It's going through distributors now. Yes.
That's crazy. Delta 9 or like
Glons.
full on THC?
Delta 9, but it's THC.
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
Delta 9 THC. But yeah,
Loopholes, baby.
loopholes.
Is it Glenn's that's distributing that stuff?
Yeah. But there's other places looking to do it too. And yeah, I mean it's on. I think there's like displays in Whole Foods and stuff now. Should probably
Wild.
talk about it on the show.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So,
Not now,
But-
though.
yeah, why don't you take us out? Why don't you do the thanks and all that stuff? Because
Well,
I
just
have to do all this stuff. I have to go back and get a perfect fade.
Don't set expectations too high. Just do the best you can. Be the best you can be.
I'm already turning this up. So
I want to thank Chris for being the best him he can be every day of the week. I want to thank Kate Bernat for coming on and having great insights while we talked over her about the article she wrote.
we talked over her.
I talked over her a couple times. I apologize for that. But I did compliment your erstwhile use of erstwhile.
I had a great time.
I'd like to thank Edmar for coming on and trying to steal our headphones. And the listeners, send us letters, review the podcast. We're doing our best.
Let us know what size you wear and what type of 3-tier merch you want.
If you send us a handwritten letter.
And if it's hand typed, maybe we'll have Rob Todd
ROTTOD.
sign your 3-tier merch for you. Now,
Maybe.
what if you had some
Maybe.
Rob Todd autographed 3-tier merch?
That I would frame that like how people
That would have to
frame
go to the
jerseys.
Smithsonian, right?
Yeah, that's my goal in life.
Right.
I just want to meet a guy who only needs 6 letters.
Right. Yeah. Now we have to do it, though. Now we need Rob Todd autographed 3-tier merch.
We have to.
We should have a signing sesh.
Don's
for him here.
always hanging out with him. Bring him a koozie, dude.
Yeah, and sign it. and a Sharpie. All right. Take us out. Anything you would like to say in closing, Kate, before we get out of here?
No, thanks for having me. It's this was an especially festive episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry
Lively.
about that. Sorry
Spirited.
about that.
You gotta have some of these. Every
It was
once in a while.
fun. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Kate.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. So
Bye.
long.
Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again.